Well, hey everyone, welcome to the Cannabis Technologist. I'm your host, Rob Neely, and with me today we've got Eric Vlosky, the Director of Marketing at a company called Pure Pressure. We also have Ben Britton. Ben, am I pronouncing your last name correctly?
Yep, that's correct.
Ben's the lead engineer and one of the founders at Pure Pressure as well. So how are you guys doing today?
Doing great. We're excited to be here.
Yeah, we're cruising. It's an exciting time.
Okay, nice. I'm kind of excited about this because I know a little bit about rosin extraction, but there's a lot I'd like to know. And so I thought we'd start at high level and then just kind of work our way into it and learn a little bit about your business model and what you guys are doing. So why don't we start there? Can we start with just the basics of the process in rosin extraction? What exactly is it at a high level?
Yeah, so rosin is a really interesting new way of extraction that's become popular over the past couple years, and it's really accelerating. The main reason rosin is picking up steam and what it is that it's an extraction method that uses no solvents. So simply put, rosin is the cannabis oil and concentrate that's created when you apply heat and pressure to a cannabis product, which essentially liquefies and extrudes the trichomes and cannabinoids out of the material that you're pressing. So, really it is the most simple extraction method, and since there's no solvents involved, it's also extremely safe. It's something that people can do at home. Small, medium, boutique businesses have really taken rosin and ran with it. It's really something that's new, and a lot of people are really, really interested in rosin because it's a little bit more health friendly. There's no butane, there's no propane. It's really one of the purest and most authentic expressions of the cannabis plant, in a concentrated form.
Fascinating. So getting into it a little bit, what constitutes the perfect extraction when you're trying to do this for rosin? What are some of the basics that are involved in doing this?
Yeah, so essentially what we're doing is we're using heat to lower the viscosity of the oils within the plant, and then we're putting that material inside a filtration bag, and then so once those oils are liquefied, they're under pressure, in our case from an air cylinder, pressing these two plates together, and those liquid oils get forced out of the filtration bag. So, essentially, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I got you. I hear you.
Oh, sorry. I thought sorry, never mind. So once those oils lower viscosity, they become mobile. And essentially what we're trying to do is force these oils out of the filtration bag, and what's left is you've got useless plant matter inside your filtration bag, and then you've got nice high-quality rosin on your parchment paper right outside the filtration bag. So as far as what's important when you're pressing material, well, you can press any kind of material. You can press flour, keef, bubble hash, sometimes trim, although we don't always recommend pressing trim directly. We usually recommend to keef that out before you press it. But essentially you want well-cured, fresh material is going to get you the highest quality rosin. It's going to improve clarity. The terpene content will be the highest in that case. And so we like to press nice, fresh, well-cured flour, and with a relative humidity around 60%. And what that does is when we're liquefying these oils, we don't want the plant matter to act as a sponge and to soak these oils up. So having your flour at a 60% humidity is essentially saturating the flour with moisture, so that when those oils liquefy, they're hydrophobic and they're kind of finding their way out of the bag without being absorbed by the plant material. So that's a very important step for pressing flour. And then when it comes to keef and bubble hash, the humidity content isn't nearly as important. But having good, high-quality, fresh material is really key. And then being able to have really good control over pressure ramping over time. You know, these are very sensitive materials, high oil content, and that's where our press accelerates, is being able to start at a low pressure, ramp your way up to a higher pressure, and get a full yield without sacrificing quality.
Okay. You know, when I've read about it, the process, a word that keeps coming up, or a metric, is temperature and the ability to control it. Well, why is that so important?
So temperature is important because, as I said, we are lowering the viscosity of the oil with heat. So the temperature that we press at is going to also directly correlate to the consistency, the texture of the rosin on the output side. So if we press with a low temperature, we can tend to get a buttery consistency, and if we increase that, so a low temperature would be around 140 to 180 degrees Fahrenheit, and then on the high end we would get up in that 220 degrees, 230 degrees Fahrenheit. And that will get you usually a more shatter consistency. And there's, this is all based on your starting material. So you can have certain flour that's going to change the color and the consistency, and same with bubble and keef. But in general, you can kind of have that butter consistency with lower temperatures and a shatter consistency with higher temperatures. What's really important is that you're able to have a good temperature distribution across the entire surface of the heat plate. A lot of these low quality presses are going to have a very poor temperature distribution. We've measured up to a 90-degree Fahrenheit difference across the surface of a plate on a competitor's model. And what that means is that you might have an area that's not hot enough to even liquefy the oil, so you've got no rosin coming out of that section of the bag, and then you might be burning your material on the other end of the bag. So having a really even temperature distribution across your plates is really the only way to have a repeatable, consistent process with a high quality output.
Okay. When you mentioned bags, is that part of the reason why you guys use micron bags as part of the extraction process?
Yeah. So we use a polyester monofilament mesh that's handmade here in Colorado, and we sell 4 different microns: 36, 72, 90, and 115 micron. And what that is just the size of the particle that it'll let through. We use polyester monofilament, and there's a lot of people in the industry that use stainless steel or nylon. Nylon is going to be the biggest problem. That material has a really high stretch, sometimes up to 200-300% stretch, where polyester is less than 1%. And so when you have a high stretch material on a filtration bag, what that means is that your micron rating completely goes out the window, because under pressure those openings just stretch. Stainless steel bags tend to be woven with a thicker thread. They're durable, and some people will try to reuse them. We find it to be more of a pain than it's worth to reuse a stainless bag. And because of those thicker threads, you tend to lose more oil in the bag itself, because the thickness of the mesh traps oil in that mesh. So polyester for us was a no-brainer. It's lower cost than stainless steel. It's got the strength, and it gets a high yield result without changing your micron mesh size.
Okay. Like other spaces, is strain and quality of plant, if you will, pretty imperative in this process?
Yeah, Eric here. So this is something that we really preach and, tell our customers and anyone interested in rosin, is that, quality in, quality out. It's a very cliche way to put it, but that's absolutely where, rosin fits into the equation. For any extraction company or anyone who's interested in doing concentrates, rosin tends to be an artisanal grade product. Not only are there no solvents, but because you're putting it in that mesh bag, no micron size, however small, unless you get, so small that you won't even use that type of mesh or it's unbelievably expensive, it's not going to filter out any contaminants or any issues like that. So what you put in truly is what you get out. You can't just blast away powder mildew, mold, things of that nature. So when it comes down to quality, we're not just talking about plants that are very resinous like your Gorilla Glues and your high trichome producing strains. We're also talking about organic, high terpene content cannabis that's going to come out the other end as good or better than the way that it went in. So when it comes to quality, it's really everything when it comes to rosin, and that's why rosin tends to sell for a higher price per gram and the units sell for more than their equivalent solvent-based competition, because people know that they're getting that really high-quality, pure product when they're, consuming rosin.
Gotcha. It's quite a craft what you guys are doing. There's obviously a lot of chemistry, but a ton of know-how. And I'm curious, how did you guys get here today? Is a lot of it just experience through trial and error? Can you speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, so this is Ben. My business partner, Josh, has actually been in the cannabis industry for quite a while. I have a machine design background. I'm a mechanical engineer, and we grew up together, so we've been friends forever, and he came to me with the problem. He had a couple rosin presses that he had purchased that just weren't holding up and really weren't getting him the yield that he needed. So he came to me, and we built a machine just for the hell of it, and we ended up getting 6 times the yield on our first prototype than we did on either of the machines that he had. So we thought we were onto something here, and we made the next version or iteration of it, and it only got better, and we started really just taking material from his grow to start playing with different variables and really dial in what's important here as far as pressure, temperature, size and design of the bag, size and design of the plates, and we just played with each variable and took a real mind-numbing amount of data and just put it all together and decided that, this is where it makes sense, this is how we do it, and from there it started out seeming very ambiguous and kind of, like you said, a craft and almost an art. And as time goes on and we're learning more and more, it's becoming more of a science, and we're finding very repeatable results with what we do.
That's great. And that's a nice segue into my follow-up question, because you guys are known as a pretty unique player in this space. And I'm curious, what is unique, what is different about you guys standing out from the rest of the competition? How are you guys able to develop this reputation in this market?
Yeah, great question, Eric. Here, there's a couple ways that we've built the reputation that we have. I think the first one is that simply we just have amazing engineering resources at our disposal. Between Ben and our industrial designer who came on, Kyle, within the past year, we're really focused on putting out the best products we possibly can. Making the best rosin press and the best accessories is our number one priority. We really want people to have the experience with rosin that they never thought was possible with some of our competitors' products. So that's the first big thing. The other thing is that, as far as a small industry goes, a lot of rosin press companies currently and previously were, to put it mildly, not known for their customer service. And, we have a professional team that understands that customer service is really everything when it comes to making sure that people are happy with their purchase decisions. So we've really built our reputation more than anything on providing, the best rosin presses and accessories out there, but also, we really go out of our way to help our customers. It's a small industry, and if somebody's not happy, word can spread very quickly. So we really wanted to keep our reputation as good as it could possibly be within the community. And, after you take enough late night calls and weekend support emails, people really start to understand that we're serious about what we do and we're serious about their success. So, we are rosin nerds. It's all we're focused on, and we really care about our customers. So, I think that's what really sets us apart more than anything.
Yeah, and just to echo that with other companies that we interview and successful businesses, that kind of transcends all of them, is the ability to be authentic and take more of a partnering nature as opposed to just building a product and shipping it off and say, there you go. So it's kind of neat to see. And I'm curious, with peer pressure, what are some of the things to look forward to on the horizon? What are some of the things you guys are aiming for in the future for the company?
Yeah, also a great question. I can't give you all the details, but early next year we're going to be coming out with an at-home level press. So currently our two flagship products, the Pikes Peak rosin press, which is where we really staked our name, and then we just released the Longs Peak, which is a larger, more commercially oriented cousin of the Pikes Peak. It's got about 60% more pressure. So we're really working on that. We actually also just released our Pressware technology, which is a full LCD touchscreen, but it's one that we developed in-house. We didn't just go out and buy a touchscreen and plug it in. It allows you to save recipes and really dial in your process and get repeatable results in a way that no other presses on the market can match. And then looking forward into the future, we're really focused on coming out with an equivalent quality at-home press that's geared towards enthusiasts and small growers and people who want to make rosin at home but don't want to settle for a cheaper rosin press and are still looking for a high-quality product like ours, but maybe they don't have the funds or the need for a $6,000 or $7,000 rosin press like our other products are. Additionally, we're also really focused on helping extraction labs get the most out of their equipment by offering full, lab-in-a-box type kits. We already do bubble hash kits, sifting, accessory products, but we're really trying to tie that all together so that people can come to us and they can say, hey, I want to get into rosin. What do I need to do? And we say, here's your turnkey solution. We've got everything for you. And, a lot of education would be the thing I would conclude with on our future plans. We really work hard to bring a lot of education and information to an industry that lacks it, and that most of the information people gather is on Facebook groups and these random posts, and it's right. Not a very good way to disseminate information when people are just having conversations here and there. So a lot of media efforts are underway to put out as much information as we can, of course for free, just to educate the community and really move the entire industry forward, not just selling our products, but, making rosin everything that it could and should be, as an industry.
Sure. What's the biggest misnomer in rosin extraction? What is the thing, an obstacle you're constantly having to educate folks on, if there is one?
Yeah, no, there's a couple. I'd say the number one thing, and we're on the verge of coming out with a pretty in-depth blog post on this, is pressure and perhaps heat plate size, because is what you have. Many of our competitors' presses have very high tonnage. Our Pikes Peak, for example, is a 5-ton press, and many of our competitors are 15, 20 tons, and a lot of people just aren't really sure. So they come to us and they say, hey, why is your press twice as expensive as this other one, but it only has a quarter of the pressure tonnage? And we have to explain to them that, in many instances, a higher pressure hydraulic cylinder is a much cheaper and less reliable way to apply pressure to your rosin extraction process than the cylinders that we use, which are oilless, maintenance-free, and they're pneumatic, which is the key thing. They're custom fabricated for us in the U.S. So, a lot of people think that they need high pressure to get good results, which we, strongly believe simply isn't true. And then furthermore, heat plate size. We get a lot of questions about people saying, hey, I got a giant heat plate. It's the size of a plate. What can I do with this? But you really need to be conscious of the size and the shape, especially of your heat plates. And we've done a ton of research and information into figuring out pretty much what the optimal size is. So more than anything, those are the two things people get confused about. To sum that up, that one, you don't need nearly as much pressure as a lot of our competitors are saying you do. They're just using high pressure hydraulic cylinders because that's the cheap and easy way to create a press. And then furthermore, you definitely do not need giant square plates because that reduces your yields in many ways. It means that the oil has to travel so far from the center of the bag to the perimeter and actually be pushed out that you're wasting a lot of oil that's either getting stuck in the bag, it's sitting on the heat for too long and degrading the terpene profile. So, a long and narrow heat plate shape is always going to be your best bet. Those are probably the two questions that we get the most and have to talk through.
Sure, and it would make sense. And I'm curious that you've carved out a really niche space, a space that you guys are clearly leading in. And I'm curious, when you guys, as this space unfolds, what are the challenges in being scalable? As we know with legislation in the cannabis industry, it's quite fluid. There are a lot of obstacles. What are some of the things that you guys have struggled with as you've continued to grow your business successfully?
Yeah, scalability is one that we get a lot because rosin, as it is not an extraction method that scales as well as some of the solvent-based methods, and we've kind of accepted the fact that as time goes on, we're working really hard to automate and produce a lot of innovations that make this process a lot less labor-intensive than it is now. So we're working in that direction, but I think rosin is always going to be kind of a small batch type product, and for a lot of people that holds cachet. This isn't your 20,000 vape cartridges a month, a week produced on a CO2 machine with, God knows what material. It could be literally anything, and now you've just got, raw oil. A lot of the other extraction methods, to put it in a funny way, someone told us that, it's kind of like distillate and CO2 is like the hot dogs of concentrates. You have really no idea what's in there. Rosin is pretty much going to be a small batch thing. You do have to increase your labor to upscale your size, but there's also ways to increase efficiency, like pressing bubble hash or key for sift. You can do, 2 to 3 times more in a single press than you can if you're pressing flour. So some of the smarter players out there are really pressing a lot of bubble hash, and that's, perhaps the zenith of all concentrates right now. Bubble hash rosin made with fresh frozen materials. So that was a little bit of a tangent, but as far as scalability goes, that's what we're really looking to attack in the future.
Sure, that makes a lot of sense. Well, guys, this has been a fantastic interview. I really appreciate you taking the time. Could you direct our viewers or listeners, if they wanted to dig up more information on Pure Pressure and your products, where would they go? Yeah,
absolutely. We are super approachable. You can find us at purepressure.com, P-U-R-E, pressure. Also, all of our social media handles are the same. We're very easy to locate. It's Go Pure Pressure on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. And for anyone who's looking to learn about rosin, learn about our products, or get into it, highly recommend checking out and subscribing to our YouTube channel. We have some of the best videos around, and we really get a lot of feedback that people love our videos, and that's really where they start learning and figuring this out. So we're easy to find. If anyone has any questions, we're super available. Shoot us an email, give us a call. We'd love to talk to you. So thank you guys so much for your time.
And I concur, Eric. For our listeners, I've checked out some of the videos you guys have, and they're really informative and interesting. So I, too, would encourage everyone to check them out. So, Eric, Ben, thanks so much. Really appreciate it. You guys have a great day, and let's try it again some other time.
Excellent. Thanks. Thanks for having us.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right. Bye.
Take care. Bye.